We have had quite a lot of inquiries about whether you can do Attention Autism sessions online. And happily, the answer is yes. But things are going to be a little bit different about those kind of sessions. So we've put together this presentation with some hints and tips and hope you find them useful. We've broken the session into 3 different parts. The why are we going to do this? The how, that's the kind of what you need to organise in order to make this work as well as it possibly can. And then the what, which is what is going to change about your actual session that you deliver. Okay, let's do the why. Because it keeps familiar faces in play, because it keeps familiar structures in play, and because it gives the parents a really good look at what we're doing. That's fairly easy from my point of view. Those are definitely my whys. Why am I doing it? I think there are 2 different ways that you can approach this. You can either do live sessions, so you stream a session that you are delivering perhaps to key worker or vulnerable children, or you can record a session and make a link available for the parents to watch it in that way. In our experience, parents use this information in 2 different ways. Mostly, and the vast majority of them, will watch the session with their child, which puts them in the role of a supporting adult, but they watch the session. They might take part in stage 3 or stage 4 if you set that up well, but mostly they're watching the sessions. Some parents who perhaps have had some training, if they haven't, they will definitely need a little bit more help from you. They use the session as information about how to run a session, and they have a go themselves. But you will need to give them a very clear equipment list and some hints and tips so that they don't break the core rules. The most typical one being that they let the children touch the things from the bucket and help with stage 2. Okay, life is different at home. We just need to help the parents understand why we do it the way that we do, but to support them in having a go if they have got the courage to do so. And it does take some courage. Okay. From the technical point of view, so let's move into the second part of these hints and tips. I'm going to quickly run through a few of the tips that we have found useful for live sessions and for recorded sessions. In live sessions, we use Zoom, but there's lots of other platforms and most of them have the same sort of features. You've just got to spend a little bit of time finding them, okay? But before you even start, you need to persuade people to put their telephones onto flight mode or move them right away or any other Wi-Fi connected devices because you get feedback and that makes it a very uncomfortable experience. You also need to look at the pinning or spotlighting function in the platform that you're using. On Zoom, pinning means that I will always be highlighted, and when there are 3 or more people in my Zoom session, I use spotlight because that means I always stay as the big picture on the screen, regardless of what's happening in any of the other rooms behind the people attending. And so we find that very useful. The other thing is we put all our attendees, the people who are attending the workshop or watching the live streaming workshop, we put them on mute. And this lowers everyone's stress. You haven't got to worry about whether somebody's hoovering in the other room or whether the baby's crying upstairs or whether the dog's barking. You put everybody on mute. It lowers the distraction and it makes a better experience for all. But you need to explain to people why you're doing it, otherwise they might take offence. It is much easier if you use a camera person. They can zoom in, zoom out, they can give you feedback as you go along. So if you've got a camera person available, that's great. If not, and you're using a phone or an iPad, remember to film in landscape, okay? And to use the back camera. If you flip it round so that you can watch yourself delivering, everything comes out in reverse, which is very confusing when it comes to the whiteboard and the writing, never mind anything else. Okay, so iPad or iPhone in landscape and use the back camera. Of course, other tablet and phone devices are available. Okay, now let's think about recorded sessions. Again, you need the phones and other Wi-Fi devices well away, otherwise you'll get feedback in your recording. Check your background Your background for noises, that is people chatting in the corridor, doors slamming, the television being played very loudly, whatever it is. Record a little bit, watch it, and you will immediately pick up any background sounds. And that means you can compromise those before you actually invest the time in running your session. Again, a camera person is much easier than filming it for yourself on your own. But if you do, you need the phone that you're going to use in landscape and to use the back camera. Okay, let's move on to the next bit in the workshop and just think about what technology and IT and stuff does to a lot of people, me included. It makes me anxious. So you are going to need to provide very clear instructions about how you want people to access your session. And we have written, rewritten, edited, and written again our instructions over and over and over again, and there are still people who get in a muddle. I don't actually think there is such a thing as a perfect set of instructions. You have to put aside the time to help those people who are going to get stuck. For me, I know what that would feel like because that would be me if I was on the receiving end of it. So make the time to support people to actually access your sessions. Otherwise, it's so frustrating. You've gone to all this trouble and they can't get in the room. And that builds anxiety and frustration all round. So allocate the time to sort it out. And whether you are going live or recorded, you will need to think about what you're expecting at stage 3 and stage 4. If you want the parents to have a go with their child at stage 3 and stage 4, you need to give them a very clear equipment list. You need to choose activities that the parents have got the equipment and the stuff they'll need at home readily available, and you will need to provide a clear prompt in your session when you want them to try with their child or have a go themselves. In online sessions, we don't pressure parents to do stage 3 and stage 4. We make it a possibility. We always demonstrate it if our children are at that stage in the programme, and then we offer it as an opportunity, but without the pressure to do it. Obviously, it's slightly different in face-to-face sessions where we are working very hard to get the children to have a turn and to follow through with a stage 4 kit. But we remove that pressure in online sessions because life is already very complicated for parents. The other thing, most of us have not been trained on how to deliver online and to a camera. And most of us, if asked, do you like having your photo taken? We're going, no. And I'm definitely one of those. But when you are presenting online, you have to forget about those anxieties. You have to make it personal. You do have to practice. We have practiced for hours how to make it feel like you are really connected. You are genuinely pitching to that person the other side, that you mind about them, that you're thinking about them. And that means you have to stop worrying about, whether you've got your top on properly, whether your hair is very COVID lockdown style, whether you've got spinach in your teeth, all those things, or whether you sound silly or you might make a mistake. You have to utterly commit to delivering to the person the other side of the camera. Practice does make it easier. And I did most of my practice quietly in my office on film to myself, watched it, horrified, had another go, kept going until I get to the point where I can concentrate on the people the other side of the camera, the people I'm doing it for. You do also need to check your lighting, and you need to film a bit and to check that you are really visible and that you haven't got a lot of glare on your face or on any other surfaces. Now you can see I've got glare on my glasses. I can't help that, but I've kept it to a minimum and I try and stop it blocking my eyes because I know that's an important part of communication. So be very careful about a lot of light behind you. That sometimes makes you look as if you're in a nightclub. Get the light all around and make sure that it's kind in terms of making you clearly visible. Check the sound in your background. Check for background noise like washing machines, children playing, and it might be happy noises, but it's still very distracting. A lot of people wear headsets, so that means that they have audio and a microphone, and we have tried those, and yes, they do improve the sound quality sometimes, but they present a kind of barrier between you and the child, in my view, so we don't use them. But that's a personal choice. Check the visible background. Okay, I have pink today, but you just need to check that the background is not intensely personal, full of your own home stuff, or if you're working in school, is that it's not the boring notice board, but that it's something that might give a cue to the child that you are in school and that you're working with them, but make sure it's not distracting. Okay, so have a really good look at your background, and mostly it involves having a good tidy up and getting rid of quite a lot of the stuff. Also look at the floor to make sure that your floor area that you're going to work on is also not distracting and provides a good contrast. And when you're thinking about what you're going to wear, I recognise not everybody wants to wear fluorescent pink leopard spot, but you need to wear something light. If you wear black, it absorbs the light, and that will make it more difficult for the children to see what's happening. And if you wear very dark trousers and you're working on a dark carpet, sometimes it looks as if you've lost your legs. Okay, so be aware of the clothing, nothing too low cut, nothing too short. We want people to concentrate on what you're doing and your delivery. Okay. And you have to practice. You do have to practice. To begin with, we thought, we've run these sessions so many times, it'll be easy. But, 5, 6, 7 times to get a session right, to get it really good, to get it the quality that we wanted on screen. And then, as we've done more and more, we don't have to practice as often. But in that initial phase, we did practice a lot, and we invited critical feedback. Some of that's a bit uncomfortable to hear, but it's always useful because what we're after is the best possible quality that we're offering here. Okay, let's move to the third part of this hints and tips presentation and think about the sessions. It is different online. We had a lot of training in the first lockdown because I realised that I certainly didn't have the skills that was necessary, and we approached somebody from the commercial film industry. Very luckily for me, that was my brother. So we got the kind of information at that professional level, and a lot of it was quite uncomfortable. We are very much the amateur in this field because this is not our normal mode of working. And one of the things that we were told is that the commercial industry knows that 1 hour maximum for people's attention online. And I'm going, no, these children are autistic, they'll watch for hours, believe me. And I was told, no, actually, they don't. If you think about what the children are watching for long periods of time on a screen, it is usually fast moving, action-packed, clear colours, different camera angles and different people speaking, so the camera switches, and you're not able to reproduce that, Gina. With the best will in the world, you can't. It's you flat on to the camera, and if really exciting, you might get the occasional close-up, but it's just you. And that means that people's tolerance and engagement is reduced. And I didn't actually believe it to begin with. So we did sessions at the pace that I thought was right and sessions that my brother thought the pace was right. And the feedback consistently from those we showed was that the slightly faster paced sessions were more engaging and kept the children engaged for longer. So I have deferred to the much better judgment that I was given. And, we should learn from these people. They have spent millions of pounds discovering this. We can take the shortcut. It just means that you're going to do things with a little bit more pace. So, in particular, when you're drawing on your whiteboard, draw faster. If it takes too long, the children don't watch. And certainly I know that children watch with really good engagement when I'm running a session live, but when I'm doing one online, I draw and write faster and the engagement is better. Or if you're recording, you might speed it up a little bit before in your editing, if you've got that skill available. And you're going to move through each of your activities slightly quicker. The other thing to remember is that everything must fit within the framework of the screen. Don't chop off your head, even just a little bit like this, because people instinctively will duck down when they're watching to try and fit you in the screen, and that means they're no longer comfortable. So make sure that you show. If you're working at a greater distance, because you've got an activity you're going to lay out on a shower curtain, make sure that everything fits within the frame, that all your equipment, when you set it out, fits within the frame, okay? And you have to animate and gesture within the framework. So if I go, it's gone, you've lost my hand. So I've had to practice, it's gone, okay? And I keep my gestures, my body language is active. Obviously in this presentation, you're only seeing the top half, but I'm using my body, either turning, moving in, moving out. I'm using my hands and I'm making sure it all shows in the frame as well as I possibly can. And you need to be really well organised, because remember, you're going to lose that tolerance of the time that you might need to perhaps get something you've forgotten. I'm hoping you're not doing that too often in your sessions, but when you're presenting online, you need everything organised. So I have my stage 2 in a basket, my stage 3 in a basket, my stage 4 in a basket, everything in a line, lined up, bucket, row of baskets, and then I'm ready. Okay. So let's think again about the whiteboard, and we know we're going to have to draw a bit faster, but the other thing is you need a really good fat black pen. And when we buy these pens, other pens are available, they come with a nice pointy tip, and actually we blunt the tip in order to give us a fatter line. You need a good fat line on your board, so that whatever you do, draw or write really shows. And be careful about these glary bits, okay? So, good fat black pen. Not red, not green, they don't show up well enough. And with the bucket, when I'm doing sessions online, I have this whopping bucket, okay? It's really big, it's really red. Not a good background, okay? So when I'm actually presenting, I have a shower curtain behind me, but it's a big bucket. And in the early days of your work with the children online, everything needs to be a bit bigger and bolder. So we would use this big bucket. And when I'm choosing things to put in it, this would be too small if you're filming me from a distance. This is a bit small. And certainly in the early days, I wouldn't go for something like that. This is better. This is a better size. Again, doesn't show very well against that background, but it's a better size. Something this size is even better. Okay, so particularly in the early days, use your bigger, flashier toys, things that have instant impact and are really clearly visible. In stage 2, you need everything that you've got ready in a basket. And when you lay it out, you need to make sure you're following a really good sequence so that your session is going to have a good, clear beginning, middle, and end. Okay? The beginning, you move your basket into the frame and you lay out your equipment. The middle, the activity. The end, putting everything back in the basket. Okay? And when you lay out your equipment, lay it down from your right as the leading adult, your right, across to the left, and make sure that everything stays within the frame. Okay, and then when you're using your materials, use them from right to left too. Now the child, from their perspective, is scanning from left to right. Okay, so you're doing it in reverse in order to make it easy for them to scan. Stage 3, you are going to demonstrate the activity. Okay, and then you're going to offer a turn to the screen. It's your turn. And then I would say, now's the chance for you to have a turn and for your child to have a turn if you want to. Okay, if your session is recorded, you just prompt the parent to pause it there. Okay, if not, you just carry on. In stage 4, again, I demonstrate my activity, and then I would hold a kit towards the screen and say, now it's your turn. This is the opportunity for you and your child to have a turn at this if you wish. Okay. And then I would cross everything off the board, and then I say goodbye. Don't forget to say goodbye to the children. They believe you're there doing it for them. A greeting at the beginning and a goodbye at the end. And if you know your parents are trying the activities, maybe they're trying stage 4, ask them to send you a photo, and you can admire the photos in the next session, or you could share them on whatever platform it is that you're using to communicate with parents. You want to make this as interactive as possible. Now, there are just a couple more points. We're not perfect. We make a lot of mistakes, but there's something about when it's on film that everything's taken as gospel. So if you make a mistake in your presentation, you've got to own it. Oh no. Oh, that didn't work, or that wasn't right. I'll try again. You must own it, because if you carry on, your mistake will become what everybody believes should be the way it is done. So own it confidently. Let the parents see how you deal with making a mistake, how you work with resilience, how you use these opportunities to demonstrate to the children that yes, everybody makes mistakes. This is a part of real life. This is how we deal with it. We have another try. So own your mistakes, correct them within your presentation, please, so that we're setting the best possible example of A, resilience, and B, good practice. And the other thing is, when you're delivering, deliver with animation and optimism. We need those terribly badly at the moment. It has to come across that you care about what you're doing. A lot of the time, we might be a little bit more reserved because we're camera shy. But as we said before, practice, deliver with absolute commitment to what you're doing, and let it go. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you found this useful. Please keep an eye on the website, ginadavies.co.uk. There are some new courses coming up. And if you sign up for the newsletter, you will get early notification of those. There'll be more Attention Autism training, but there'll also be the Curiosity program. And there will be more Attention Autism stages, looking at, not new stages, but looking at the existing stages and other ways of doing it, more ideas, etc. Look at the Facebook page, Gina Davies Autism Centre, masses of ideas on there. Help yourself, and look at the YouTube channel, Gina Davies Autism Centre, where we've split things into different playlists. You've got a playlist for ideas and sessions and a playlist for the Attention Autism strategies. Help yourself. They're there for you. Good luck. Goodbye.